You're not mistaken. The guy in the video really did touch the top of the backboard. He easily reaches the rim with his shoulder and was drafted alongside Victor Wembanyama. He tried out for the Lakers and Dallas. And why? Despite his huge vertical, you've probably never heard of him. Let's start with the hardest time for Kaodirichi Akobundu-Ehiogu. His story begins in a tiny village in Nigeria, and no, the reason for the hardship isn't that Kao was born into a poor family or that his parents simply didn't care about the boy. The thing is, from a very early age, the boy was forced to face life's harsh realities. First, at just 6 years old, he lost his father in a motorcycle accident. Second, 11 months after the tragedy, Kao's mother, who had been battling cancer for some time, also passed away following his death. Third, all these events forced our hero to embark on a long journey, moving first to Lagos to live with one aunt, and then later to America to another, who would eventually become his guardian. This would not only give him a ticket to a better life, but also introduce him to basketball. Now, about the game. Kaodirichi's introduction to the best game with a ball was no less interesting, as according to his own stories, he had never even touched a basketball before moving to the States. He was mainly into soccer and track and field. Yes, that means he didn't play organized basketball until he was 13. Is it too late to become a top pro? Well, usually, yes. Plus, Kaodirichi was also lucky his cousin Solomon personally trained him. He taught him shooting mechanics, dribbling, and body control, and as a result, in just 3 weeks, our hero made so much progress that he decided to try out for the 7th grade school team. But predictably, no miracle happened, and he didn't get a spot in the rotation. This process would repeat itself many times because from 8th grade all the way to his senior year, Kao just wasn't in high demand, automatically taking him off university scouts' radar. However, looking at his biography now, it turns out that in 2018, Kaodirichi did get into Sagu, where even with minimal playing time, he not only ranked 42nd in the nation in average blocks, but also made a specific claim for himself as the next Giannis. Seeing his little brother desperately struggling, yet going unnoticed in his quest for Division I, Solomon took his game tapes and began sending them out to as many colleges as he could. He was emailing assistant coaches, and one of those emails successfully reached Mike Schmitz. An unknown kid destroyed upperclassmen at Dallas Baptist, scoring 31 points and 11 threes. Schmitz called contacts at the University of Texas at Arlington about the young talent, helping Kaodirichi start his professional career. Let me say right now, he was never going to be a superstar in the game. Yes, the Nigerian freak would rank among the top in blocks in both the Sun Belt and ACC conferences when he transferred to the Memphis Tigers. He would sometimes make NCAA highlights and even secure a spot in his team's starting rotations, but he never had a major breakthrough in terms of stats. Of course, many factors contributed. A late start in basketball and a growth spurt his freshman body couldn't handle. A broken foot, Kao suffered from a failed dunk attempt during his freshman year, poor academic performance, and a constant need for money. Our hero needed money for school and earned it the hard way, working as a sales associate at Home Depot. And all of this combined won't get him drafted even in the late second round of the 23 draft, where the #1 pick was generational anomaly Victor Wembanyama. But Kaodirichi's main success, it seems, was never about that, but rather about his shocking jump. The thing is, starting in 2020, Kao, while studying and working, casually started posting his videos on TikTok. He was known for technical dunks, getting hundreds of thousands of views. But the game changed when a series of videos showed Kaodirichi jumping with his head above the rim, even touching it with his shoulder. And for the first time in history, touches the top of the backboard on camera. For perspective on just how out of bounds this is, the top of a standard backboard sits at about 396 centimeters. Yes, with his size and a wingspan over 2 meters, you'd think the Nigerian could easily set such a record. Although, in reality, this is a profound misconception, and I'm about to prove it to you. Throughout basketball's history, only a few players have supposedly been able to reach the top of the backboard. For example, Kobe, while filming a Nike commercial series showing off the Hyperdunk's lightness, allegedly snatched a bill from the top of the backboard. The rim's height was far from standard, and that whole series of commercials, while impressive at the time, had very little truth to them. The same is said of streetball legend Earl Manigault. Legend claims he'd take quarters off the backboard for fun, but this has never been proven. Or take Wilt Chamberlain. We all know he was a walking basketball myth, setting records in every discipline he touched. However, since there is simply no proof for even half of his achievements, we can only believe it with a huge grain of salt. Back in his day, Wilt looked just as unorthodox against his opponents as Wembanyama does today. But as for NBA players, there are only 2 examples that were officially captured on camera and are considered probably the closest attempts to reach the top of the backboard. The first belongs to Dwight Howard on the show Sports Science. Covered in a host of censors, he attempted to break Shaquille O'Neal's 12.5-foot record and succeeded, both on the show and when he placed a sticker at roughly the same height during the 2007 dunk contest. But as for reaching the top of the backboard, no, Dwight was about 12 centimeters short. The other 2 attempts were by Obi Toppin when he knocked a ball loose from the top of the backboard mid-game. He did it with surprising ease, and visually, it's probably close to the same height that Dwight reached. However, when it comes to Cal, it's all legit, on camera, in different locations, and with a huge number of witnesses. Contrary to claims that his athleticism is just good genetics, that's a complete lie. Kaodirichi knew his strength was jumping, so he worked tirelessly to improve his explosive power, even getting help from top professionals like Isaiah Rivera. And accordingly, it was only through extremely hard work that he managed to become the first person in basketball history to touch the top of the backboard on camera. But did it help his pro basketball career? Absolutely. Even though our hero hasn't made it to the NBA yet, despite having tryouts with the Lakers, Dallas, and even playing for Denver in the last summer league, he managed to secure a spot in Europe. With Italy's Varese, he averages 7.5 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 2 blocks. He also plays for Nigeria's national team. And considering this guy's basketball story only began at the age of 13, and he earned his popularity on his own by posting videos on TikTok, it seems like this outcome for his career can be considered an absolute success.